On this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, New Year, same debt. So, welcome back to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Shawn Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law. And again, happy New Year and welcome to your financial coach, George Cabello. How you doing, George?
Oh my goodness, it is 2026 officially, and I am very appreciative and grateful to be here with you, my friend, for another exciting year of the Crushing Debt podcast. I could feel it. I could feel it already. It's the change.
So, at what point in the year do you stop trying to convert all your fives into sixes when you write the date? How long does that normally last?
I would say if I'm consciously doing it, it's probably give me at least a week. So a week meaning like back into the routine because like this weekend didn't count. So it's like
No.
I haven't written enough emails or enough planning to say I can switch the sixes fives to the sixes. So yeah, it's at least a week by Friday
I,
maybe.
I don't I don't even think I knew what day of the week it was until I woke up this morning to go to until I went to bed last night, knew that I had to
You're like,
set my
oops,
alarm.
it's Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And
it's a I would agree with you there. It's been a good holiday then if you're saying it
oh
like
yeah.
that. Like okay then.
Although the goofy thing for me is that here where we live, Hillsborough County, Tampa Bay area,
Hmm. Hmm.
school doesn't start back up again till tomorrow.
Whoa.
So even though I went back to work today, my kids are out of school today. So I think after the third year having to do this by myself,
Hmm.
I think I've finally figured it out and I've scheduled my days off to be in conjunction with the school calendar.
Correct.
And the other thing that I did was I looked at like when is Christmas, when is New Year's, when are all these holidays
The
coming up
holidays.
next year? And like for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I actually scheduled the Wednesday off beforehand.
Okay. I mean, again, you have to be a lot more prepared. You
Right.
have to a lot be. I would say I schedule a lot of my days off around the kids. Obviously, it's easier that way. Mine's are a little older, so like if she went to school today, so I didn't even know if there was a day off today. So she did go to school, so and she's not back yet. So I would assume everything is okay. But yeah, it was one of those where throughout the year I've learned, like a few, coordinating through the kids calendar makes it a lot easier to be able to, like just coordinate outings, events, things like that. So yeah, this year's weird because they're both seniors, so it's a little bit, like there's some extra things even when they're off, they have actual senior things they got to do. So that's the coordination around that to be able to attend events would be nice. So I'm definitely trying to be a little bit better that like that for 2026.
So I noticed this trend on Facebook where parents are posting, I think they call it like Sunday senior something or other. And so every Sunday they post an old picture of their high school seniors, like from when the kid was a baby or in
Oh,
elementary
okay.
school or whatever. You and Chris haven't jumped on that train?
Apparently, we don't, we're not cool enough to do things like that. So, but no, I think I'll have to take a look at the trend and embarrass my kids for at least a few months. That's a great idea. I think I'll jump on that gravy train very easily because we do have some evidence that will be embarrassing for my two young daughters. So yeah, they'll be okay with that.
I've got one picture of my son. And let me see if I can explain this without having to put the explicit tag on the episode. So he is I want to say somewhere around 2 years old, one and a half, somewhere in
Hmm.
that range. He's in the bathtub, and so you can imagine what
Yeah,
he
most of the embarrassing pictures are usually there, but that's okay.
right. So you can imagine what he is or is not in this
Yeah.
case wearing. Um, my wife bought him these letters, these like foam letters that when they get wet, they stick to the side of the tub.
Sure.
So you can, help the kids, start to recognize and learn letters. He put the letter O in a particular place. He hung the letter O on
Ay, ay, ay.
something, and my wife snapped a picture of it.
Of course she did. What?
So that picture's coming back at his wedding, I think.
I can see that. Okay. Holy moly, dude, I feel for you already, my friend. Yeah, that is the ultimate oucha.
Yeah. So
Thanks, Mom, for that one.
switching gears a little bit, how you doing on your resolutions?
So I think most of them have been broken by probably the second or third day already. So I'm very happy about most of the unrealistic resolutions that I put out there. But no, I gotta say this year, I would say this year's the year, right? We're gonna do some, but I think I've been a little bit more strategic on like my goals from a business standpoint, things that I want to try to accomplish that is realistic. So far so good. I gotta say I've exercised at least, since the first, at least 3 times, which is good for my old age. I can't, I can't do this exercise every day. That's a young man sport. That ain't something I'm doing. So let's be realistic there. So exercising has been, good there. Sleeping, again, getting good regular sleep, good
Right.
realistic stuff, new habits that can be more realistic for me. That's where I've been, like to say I'm going to save or I'm going to make $1 million this year. Like those are I guess good motivators, but I'm not. I'm trying to be a little bit more realistic when it comes to what I'm trying to do, and being healthy and happy is for me. I think it's easily attained. I think we'll be okay if just keep it that way, keep it simple. So far
Yeah.
so good though.
I really, I don't know that struggled's the right word, but I really spent some time looking at what I wanted to accomplish in 2025 and looking at how a lot of that stuff was the same as what I wanted to accomplish in 24 and
Sure.
23 and 22 and so on. And so I
Consistent.
it is, but it's, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Fair
So
enough.
what I did this year was I basically blew it all up. I
Oh,
I so normally when I'm looking at, so like when I was looking at what do I want to accomplish in 25, I
sure.
used 24 and I just changed, updated a number here, tweaked a percentage there, whatever. Well, when I was doing 26, I basically erased all of 25
Start over.
and I said, I'm not going to work on the same stuff I've been working on for 6, 7 years. I'm going to pick
Sure.
something new and work on that.
Ooh,
So,
that's a little scary too if you try to do that. That can be
well,
very intimidating to kind of like blank slate.
it is, but my alternative was to keep working on the same stuff that I'd
Sure. No,
been
yeah.
working on. And I felt like I needed to shake myself up. I felt like I needed to, you know, put some good stress on me and my abilities and my goals and my plans and all that kind of stuff. I kind of felt like I've been in a rut, and one way to
Sure.
break out of the rut is to break it all up and start over again.
Some stretch goals, something to get you. Is it more emotionally, mentally, physically? What are you trying to, what are some of the stretch goals, some of the examples of something you're stretching yourself out of?
I want to give myself a raise at work,
Okay, makes sense.
so I want more money.
I think most
Um,
people would agree with Shawn. That's a great idea. So that's a stretch goal. I'm gonna make some more money this year. Okay.
right. Well, so if you want to make it a stretch goal, add, I want to increase my salary by 20%. I want to make 20% more this year than last year.
Sounds good. Okay.
Um, my other goal is to eliminate some of the medicine that I'm on, get more healthy, and
Got it.
some good news there. My blood pressure pill was I forget what it was. I'm gonna say 50, and people will say that's too much. Whatever,
Right.
whatever my blood pressure pill dosage was, I've actually been cutting it in half,
Right.
and I've noticed no increase in my blood pressure. So I'm going to do that for a little bit, and then eventually I'm going to cut out the pill entirely and see what happens to my blood pressure. So, good news is that my blood pressure is doing better. It's in normal range,
Yep.
with half the dose of what it was last year. Um, I went from needing two different types of diabetes pills to consolidating that into one
Good.
diabetes pill. So,
Nice.
you very slowly cutting back on some of the medicines that I take. So so
So
that
what do
was
we
good.
change? So what do we change it? So Shawn just did he did what everybody else. Money and health for
Right.
2026. So okay, Shawn, you're stretching me here, but let me challenge you then. So what do we so let's stick on the health wise. Like right as a from a health standpoint, are you is it because again I always go back to money, right? Are you gonna change the way you shop for groceries or like what's gonna help you to achieve the numbers in reducing your medications when it comes to the to your health?
I think here I've done everything that I needed to do, except the one thing that I can change at this point is adding in or adding back in the exercise piece.
Exercise. Okay.
That I think is the one because I've already changed my diet. I last year, as a result of this show, last year I stopped buying lunch out and I brought my lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Now I still, if I had a networking lunch or
Sure.
something like that, I ate lunch out. But I would say that it's flipped. In other words, last 2 years ago, I maybe ate out, 3 or 4 days of the week, where today I eat out for lunch, maybe one day every 2 or 3 weeks.
Gotcha.
And the rest of the time I bring my own food. I could clearly tell that the kids were going back to school this week. I went to the grocery store
Yeah, the
yesterday
grocery bill.
and spent like $300 at the
Yep.
grocery store because I had to buy all of the lunches and snacks and whatnot that I haven't had to buy on winter break so
Yep.
far. So I had to buy and
A lot of
replenish all that.
convenience packaging.
Yeah. So, but no, I think the big thing that I can do this year is add in a little bit of exercise, going for a walk or going for a
Walk.
run.
Yep.
Um, I've already registered. There's a walk that we had a neighborhood walk to raise money for the local schools, or a
Sure.
neighborhood run rather, to raise money for the local schools that we did last year for the first time. I've already registered to do that again. So I think adding back in being more vigilant about the exercise piece is really going to help me.
I like that. And I agree with you. I think for me, the health thing has been so again, I do 11,000 steps. I'm going to try to push to 12, right? So that's how you push for me in pushing the numbers, using the numbers, push to exercise a little bit more. At least 4 to 5 days a week of 30-minute exercise, whatever it might be, right? That's another thing to add. So for me, it's routine, right? So finding the time in the day to inject this new behavior, doing this a little bit more. So those have been my kind of goals and stretch goals. I would love to say maybe I get to six, maybe exercising every day. Whoa, 30 minutes. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but for me, it's like I'm going to start small, right? I'm going to start to go, I was at 3 days. Now I'm going to five. Maybe we stretch ourselves a little bit to go to 7 days a week. But my old age, I'm thinking a little less stress on the knees. 7 days might be pushing it. So because I need those extra days for recovery. Yes, I'm old, so that's what happens. But yeah, this is good. But again, routine. Trying to inject that into the routine is going to be critical. So eating correctly, right? Watching what you eat. Number of carbs, things like that, and of course, a little bit more exercise at our age. Not a bad idea. So,
Right.
what are people doing? What are they? I'd love to hear like what are people thinking what they're going to do specific to health. And again, does that mean gym membership? Does that mean adding to the budget to be able to, order some different types of foods? Or like these are the things that we have to look at because whatever we're thinking for goals for health, you're probably going to need to make some adjustments specific to your budget to reflect those new goals you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I love
So
it.
why do you think it is that resolutions start failing by February? Let's be generous instead of saying week 2 of the
They
year.
say January 9th. That's the date. So it's amazing. Like, okay, that's okay. So we only got
Okay.
4 days left, guys.
So
Um,
so why do resolutions fail?
so I think a lot of times, again, so let's look at it from a debt standpoint, right? The debt doesn't erase at midnight, right? The issues that you had that maybe got you into that situation last year are still there. And a lot of people, it's easy to say, I'm just going to do it, right? But there's no plan. There's no game plan on how to do it. So that's one reason why, it fails. I don't know if it's the right motivation either. Like, what's going to motivate you to say, this is the year? right? This is the year to make the change. But if there's no plan to actually like put together that like you lose that steam and that motivation in days. I would
Right.
agree with that. So I think no plan and the motivation itself is not there to be able to really sustain 365 days rather than just 9. That's would be
Well,
my guess.
one of the interesting things, and we've talked about this before, I
Mm-hmm.
journal every work day of the week. I did
Mm-hmm.
this morning when I woke up. I had my cup of coffee. I took one less pill this morning because I was able to,
Right.
eliminate one, and I journaled. And I thought to myself, let me go back and look at what was I journaling the beginning of 2025.
Right. Right.
And then, from there, well, what was I journaling at the beginning of 2024? And so I went back and looked at those things, and that was kind of the motivation that I needed to say, you know what? I was journaling the same thing in 23 and 24 and 25. I need to make more money, and I need to get off the pills, and I need to, do this and get more healthy and do more with the boys and blah, 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 blah. And not to say that those were bad resolutions,
Nope.
just I had done them all in the past. And so I really took a look. I think last episode, I think we talked about the one word. And I know we've talked about it before, where every year in January or late December, early January, I think of what one word is going to define my year the following year. And this year it's leverage. And so I'm already looking at what things can I leverage. In fact, one of my goals for 2026 is to delegate 3 tasks that I do repeatedly that I should not be doing.
Sure.
Things like answering my own voicemails. I have an assistant that can check my
Yep.
voicemails when I'm not in the office.
Yep. Yep.
Things like accounting. I can hire an accountant to input the bills, and I'll still sign the checks, but they can input the bills and do the accounting. There are things that I can do that I basically just got tired of doing the same thing over and
No,
over and
makes
over
sense.
and over again.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like going into a new year, and if you're seeing the pattern, so how do we shake the pattern, right? It's not about motivation. It's what's gonna achieve the actual writing now. Like, let's say I want to make more money. Good. What's gonna put you in that different place?
Right.
What's the work that needs to be done? How are you going? And the thing is, there needs to be some type of tied value to it, right? Okay, having my assistant do this more work will allow me to do more that could actually generate, income, right? Generate work that generate. So there's things that you're looking at it the right way. It's though, how do you remember it, when you're in the moment? Because sometimes
Well,
in our head, oh, it's easier for me to just do it. Oh, it's just
you
easier.
you
I
write it down.
Yeah,
That's how you remember it. You write it down. I mean, I've got, as I sit here recording, I'm surrounded by notebooks with different stuff written in them. So
love it.
so you write it all down. But why else do you think, in my mind, I think the resolution, and it's kind of what we've been talking about. The resolution doesn't last because the motivation doesn't last.
Right.
And I think one way to overcome that is just to celebrate the small wins, continue to celebrate the small wins. I joked with you that my student loans were going to be paid off when I'm 55, which is 2 years from as we record this,
Right.
just in time for me to borrow for my son to go to college. Well, I got my statement, and I kind of reverse engineered it and went, wait a minute, because it shows what's the balance owed on the student loan, what's your payment, how much of that payment is interest. Well, so what I did was I took the payment amount, subtracted out the interest, so came up with what's applied to the principal,
Yep.
and then divided that into the balance that was remaining. And I came up with the number 10, meaning in 10 months, my student loans will be paid off. Not 2 years, not 24 months,
Right.
10 months.
Nice.
So in October or November, I guess, I get a raise.
There you
I
go.
get a natural raise in November but that's motivating me now to say,
Yep.
okay, well, let me let me, do I, and I probably won't, but one of the questions I've asked myself is, do I want to send a little bit extra to my student loans to pay them off
Yep. Yep.
faster? But my student loans are one of the lowest interest rate loans that I have. So I don't know that I'm really interested in sending them any extra money to pay it off early.
Get it done earlier. I mean, you
Yeah,
might
I mean,
save an interest, but you're saying it's a lower interest rate compared to some of the other debts that we have,
at
right?
at this point, based on the because remember, with an amortizing loan, and for some people don't know this, I didn't realize this until I really studied it. But
Hmm.
with an amortizing loan at the beginning, most of your payment pays interest. At the
Correct.
end, most of your payment pays principal.
Correct.
So if I pay extra principal to pay down my student loan faster, I probably save myself over the course of the year $100, $200 in interest, which is not nothing,
But
but
it's not like the beginning if you're doing
I
it from the
could take
beginning.
that
Yeah.
extra money and I could apply it to a higher rate
Sure.
interest debt that I
Right.
have.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean,
So,
you're looking at the numbers, right? So the one thing that you're looking at is the information so you can make a sound decision. And I think a lot of people, that's one thing that I would say, let's do things differently. How do we do things differently? People are still like debt's there, but they don't know what the exact numbers are. So let's understand those and get some of those numbers, so that we can have a plan, whether it's health or debt or whatever it might be, to again make more money, whatever it is. That you need to know where you are, the exact information, the balances, and then be able to put a plan together that actually gets us a lot closer to making
yeah,
those a reality, which is there. The one thing I would say too is motivation is one thing, but I think that hints to a mindset shift, right? We talk about New Year's and new plans and but does it have to be like new me? Right? I get the common thing is like new year, new me, right?
right,
But why? Why do we have to become a different person? Why can't we just have a different plan or a different, system that we
right.
use to be able, like, for me, I get it. We're trying to play mental gymnastics with ourselves when it comes to this stuff. And I'm just like, but it doesn't have to be like, let's become a different person. I think it's more of just like, let's do things a little differently through the system or the plan in order for us to be able to achieve what we're looking to do.
Well, and I think that goes back to the motivation, new year,
Yeah.
new me to motivate me to
Mm.
do the stuff that I want to do. I think that's really all it comes down to.
No, so for me, we got to just, for me, I think it's just more of like be clear in what it is that you're trying to do, but for me, it's not a reflection of me as like my personality. It's really more me of like, okay, what do I need to have in place for me to actually achieve what I'm trying to accomplish?
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I would say, even with you, Shawn, like 20% raise, I'm like, okay, how many more phone calls do you need to make? How many more networking meetings do you have to do? How many more referrals does that equal to? I think that's, again, knowing the numbers help you to be able to formulate a plan like, okay, X amount of things per month that will allow me to get to that goal by the end of the year. And again, a lot of it
Well,
too
and
could be reducing expenses. It's not just necessarily, making more money too. It could be, how do we reduce expenses so that there's more available for the salary?
right, right. And I think it's also just a function of keeping that stuff top of mind. I think one of the reasons that resolutions fail is maybe the shame people feel in
Yeah.
terms of I tried to do this resolution and it's not working out the way I wanted, and they just get embarrassed and they give it up. And I think where people really could benefit from that is taking the 50,000 foot overview rather than the 5 foot overview and say, okay, well, I didn't come off my blood pressure medicine in
Yeah.
2025, but I cut it in half.
Yeah.
That's not a bad
Perfection
victory.
is a progress over perfection, right?
Right.
We always want to remind folks, but that's a good point where it's like, okay, well, you still had a good year because you got half of, the medications is knocked out. So
Right.
you're making progress. It's not about like, okay, fully off the medication, but the fact that that you've made strides in eliminating. I think that's something to commend yourself about as well. So that's great to hear. What do they always say? Shoot for the moon or shoot for Mars or shoot for the moon, and if you get halfway, you're still doing pretty well.
You shoot for the moon, and if you don't make it, at least you hit the stars or
There you
something like
go.
that.
There you go. See, that sounds a lot better. I like it. I like it. But so I think a lot of folks probably listening, they're in this mode where like we have these things that we want to accomplish. There's a lot of things that we want to do when it comes to our finances and our money. But again, like, are you clear with what it is that you're trying to do? Are you,
Right.
because it's easy to just be like, we're all still in this holiday hangover, man. It's the traveling, the food, the spending, like all of these kind of things. And yes, sorry to say that if you use debt, those credit card bills with those statements are coming. They're gonna be there.
I think that's a
Yeah,
huge issue in that you spend all this in December, you may not get that bill till January or even possibly February.
sure.
And so that's really when the motivation's going to have to kick in to say, okay, now what do I do to keep this resolution?
Right. And what is, for you, if you're in that mode where you're, the nervousness of that next bill coming in. So what's your motivation? What's gonna keep you motivated there? Is it the fact that like, hey, I'm saving up to be able to, have a bigger snowball payment, or I'm taking on extra hours in order to pay down some of these debts. So like, you have to have a game plan to be able to address these issues itself, so that they're not the things that come up and go, oh, where did what happened? Like we're gonna be acting as if we didn't know this bill was coming.
Right.
And I think
Right.
we need to be a little bit more realistic around like, okay, we spent the money, it's okay, but now we have to the accountability of what we're going to do to actually pay it off or do something with that debt itself. I think that's got to be the next realization as you start planning for your New Year's.
Well, and I think that's it. In other words, going back to the basics of, okay, so I didn't accomplish the goal that I wanted to accomplish, but I accomplished this. And so let me figure out that win.
Yep.
I think that's what it's in essence going to come down to is one somebody I read somewhere where somebody said in dealing with debts, you want to shrink the goals.
Hmm.
In other words, I want to save. So we talked about it last week. The
Yeah.
average person, the average family spends $1,100
Yep.
on presents during the holidays. And so, okay, my goal is to save $100 a month so that in December of next year I got
Yep.
$1,200 saved up and I can buy my presents for my kids. But let's say I only save up 50 in January.
Yep.
Don't give up the goal.
Right.
Save 75 the next month, save
Correct.
50 the next month, save 25 the next month, save 150 the next month,
Something.
save whatever you can, but don't give up on the goal.
Correct. And I think a lot
Shrink
of
the goal.
us, I think a lot of us do kind of like, well, if it wasn't perfect, it's got to be, I'm done. I got to give
Right.
up. And it's like, well, I didn't do the 50 or I didn't do the 100. So I must have, now I'm not going to do zero. I'm going to do zero from that. And I think most of us need to understand that slow changes in patterns, slow changes in habits will get you to the goals that you're looking to do, right? So,
Right.
hey, Sean's not going to run the 26-mile marathon, right? 26.1-mile marathon. Does that make him like, well, you didn't exercise then this year, so he must be a failure, right? No, it's for him. If we can do a 1K, a 5K, right? Or,
Right.
those are great goals to achieve. But hey, dude, just go out 10,000 steps a day, my friend. Start there,
Right.
And if 10,000, hey, but I made five. Great. Tomorrow, try to do 5-5. Then, if that's the case, let's get closer closer and closer to the 10,000 goal. I think most of us we give up because it's like we set the goal at here, and if I'm not achieving it, I must be failing. And it's like
Right.
that's not the right approach. Let's try to put ourselves in a position where progress is where you want to be when it comes to finances, health, relationships, anything that that is going to be important to you in the new year.
Yeah. So what other tips do we have about how you can prevent your resolutions from dying?
Well, I mean,
Um,
if for me, I think if you've like stop relying on credit, let's stop relying on credit and use your cash flow, right? If we're gonna make changes to the way we do our budgets, that's for me, that's it's a starting point, right? Don't let the debt increase or continue to increase if we're trying to get the goal of getting out of debt, right? So you can't
right.
create debt if you're going to be, trying to get out of it. Um, Stop treating emergencies like they're surprises, right? Or like or meaning um using the emergency fund as if like
Right.
there was surprise. You know what I mean? Like emergencies are going to happen in our lives, but having the emergency fund available there is not to kind of oops, I forgot to do the Prime annual subscription. Let me take it out of the emergency fund, right? So for
Right.
me, those are patterns that I see in clients all the time when it comes to like, oh yeah, I have an emergency fund, but it really helps me when I need that extra Uber Eats. It was an emergency. I needed to have a good meal for that dinner.
You
Um,
know, what about accountability? In other words, what about sharing some of your goals, some of your resolutions, some of what you want to accomplish? If I know, George, that you want to get out and exercise 6 days a week,
hmm
I can very easily send you a text
Yep.
first thing in the morning. Hey, good morning. You exercised today. Or I can send you an email or a text
Right.
message before we go to bed at night. Hey, did you get your steps
Did
in?
you get your steps in? Right. No, and I think family, friends, if you can share those goals, I think having that circle of people that you can trust and provide that can provide that motivation, that push when it comes to like, hey, I'm not in the mood to go today, but like, hey, dude, you've been doing a great job. Go and to the gym, go outside, take care, take a few steps, whatever it might be. I think that is very important to have a circle of individuals that can help push you as well. And for
Right.
me with money is the same thing, right? Accountability. If you have friends, family, a trusted coach, financial coach who can help you with those, that just really someone who you can bounce ideas off of, um, give you the insight that's necessary, but also again that motivate like, hey, dude, it's okay. You're doing well. Like maybe we stumbled a little bit during Christmas time, but that's okay. Let's dust ourselves off. Let's get a plan together, get back on the horse, and let's go. Let's keep
Right.
riding forward. We're okay. I think finding your circle is going to be important if you're going to look to go beyond January 9th when it comes to resolution and goals. I would agree with that.
Now, what other tips do we have for our listeners, our esteemed listeners?
Well, I would say, for me, finding the willpower somehow. I love your idea of like writing things down, things that can help. Journaling helps to kind of air out any grievances we may have in our head, but also it can be a way to be able to plan out, like, here's what I'm going to do. Writing, like, here are the things I want to accomplish today. I'll write that in the morning. And then at the nighttime, did I actually accomplish what I said I was going to accomplish in the morning? And look at that and write some things at the end of the day. These little things that allow us to be able to be more aware. I always
Right.
look at it as the more data you have, the more aware you are of your situation, the more you can be proactive on decisions that can be made throughout the day.
Yeah.
But dude, finding time. You got time for that? I don't know. Everybody's gonna say I don't have time. I don't have time.
That's the other thing that I'm working on is, time. That's one of my other kind of, it's the big goals. We want more money, we want better health, we want
Yeah.
more time. And one of the ways that I am coping with that or dealing with that is I'm budgeting it in my calendar.
Yep.
So every day I go through my calendar and, like, I can tell you, for example, I've got a 2 hour block of time to Wednesday morning where all I
Mm-hmm.
have to do is work on projects. And it's a recurring appointment. So every
Right.
Wednesday morning for 2 hours, that's all I do is knock out projects. Friday from 12 to 3, again, it's time to knock out projects.
Mm-hmm.
And then little cheats here and there. So I blocked this podcast episode recording for an hour and a half for
There
90
you go.
minutes. Now, most people know it doesn't take us 90 minutes to knock out
We
an
do a lot of
episode.
talking in between, though.
We do a lot of talking before and after. But once we're done recording, any extra time in this 90-minute block now comes back to me and I can use it
Correct.
on something else.
Love it. Love it. And it gives you time to be able to do show notes or prep work or anything that's needed. So you have choice to be able to clean up and finish what you're doing specific to the recording, and then you can transition into the next block of
Right.
work that you're doing. So I think the one thing that we need to avoid is we're not very good at multitasking, guys. I'm sorry to break the news for you. As much as they teach you or think you can multitask, you can't. All right,
No,
the most multitasking I can do is chew gum and walk. That's it.
it's
That is the basics that I can. So if you're trying to scroll on the internet or trying to do certain things and trying to pay attention in a meeting or a session or anything that you're trying to do, it's not ideal. So I love the fact that we try to gain more time by doing too much at once. And I think that's also be careful. That could be a detriment on the work you're doing as well. So just be careful there.
yeah, and that's one of the other things that I've tried to do that starting kind of October, November-ish of last year is that when I'm working, I'm working. So,
Yep.
and I want to get away from, I've got too many clients that have my cell phone. So if you're a client and you're listening to this and you have my cell phone, call me at the office or email me because what I've
Yep.
been doing is putting my phone on do not disturb
Yeah.
when I work during the day. So the only people that can get through to me are my family
The
members, really.
kids. Yeah.
Um, and so I'll get done working and I'll get into my car to drive home and I'll turn off
Right.
the do
The
not
not disturb.
disturb
Sure.
and I'll have 10 text messages. Hey, I tried to call you. Hey, I tried. By the way, kind of a tangent.
Uh-oh.
I had a client that I almost didn't take on today. She called me on Wednesday,
Okay.
which was
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, December
Okay.
31st. She called me on Wednesday.
Sure.
Then she emailed me. No, then she left me an urgent message on Sunday.
Okay.
Then she sent me an email at 8:45 on Monday morning.
Okay.
And then she sent me another email at 9:15 on Monday morning. I'm so frustrated I can't get a hold of you.
Okay.
You emailed me on New Year's Eve,
Right.
Sunday, and then within 30 minutes, first thing Monday morning after I hadn't been working for a week.
Correct.
And that's somehow
Got to be
my
a little
fault.
bit more realistic on reaching out to any businesses during that
Right.
period of time. So yeah. Okay. Well, you're still a good man, I'd imagine, and you
Uh,
reached
I
out
ended
and
up, I had a client that canceled. And so I ended up calling this woman in
sure.
there and,
There you go. It worked
made
out
some,
then.
made some money.
There you go. It worked out then. That's
It
that's all
worked
you
out,
can do. That's all you
but
can do.
it was still annoying. So,
Guys, don't call New Year's Eve of anything, any eve of anything, and a
and,
Sunday.
and be upset when we don't call back.
I would agree
So,
with that. Let me throw a question out to the listeners then. And Shawn, obviously, this is for us when we don't have to answer, but it's something. But like, what is the one thing you're willing to do differently this year? We kind of hinted at it in our end of year shows and our New Year shows. But for everyone else, if you're gonna look to manage your debt, if you're trying to exercise more, if you're trying to sleep better, if you're trying to do anything, what is the one thing you're willing to do differently? I think a focused kind of goal, like if there's one thing you can do this year that's realistic, what would that thing? What would you be willing to do for differently for that thing? And I think we got to think about it. If I want people to think about it, I think for us it's making more money. For me, it's to being healthy and obviously providing support. But I think we need to, what is that one thing, guys, that it's going to keep you motivated throughout the year in 2026, that you could go at the end of the year and go like that one thing, I changed that, I did this differently, and this, the results are there. Like, woohoo, we did it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think that's, gosh, I don't even know that I could answer that one right now,
Hmm.
but I think that's a great question.
Just think
Uh,
about it. I mean, and again, the guys, there's no wrong answers, right? There's never a wrong answer. It's your answer. But I think we need to challenge ourselves to really kind of think of like the one, because there's so many, oh, but is it family related? Is it health related? Is it money related? Is it like, no, no, dude, just forget it. One thing. That's it. Whatever it is, because what you'll start to realize, that you'll start looking like value based, specific to the one thing. And it makes it a little bit more difficult, because now you have to really think about like what's going to be more important. What's the priority for that one thing you want to do differently this year?
yeah, and I think that will help to kind of put a theme or a bow on this
Hmm.
week's episode. I think continuing to focus on that one thing that you're going to do different is what's going to help combat um the losing on the resolution,
That's it.
stopping the resolution. And again, I feel so bad calling it a resolution because in my mind I think a resolution is more pie in the sky anyway. I don't
Hmm.
normally do resolutions. I'll do goals, I'll do systems, I'll do different things. I'll do tracking and
Yeah.
monitoring. I don't really do resolutions. So, but I think that's an excellent question, and I think that's a great spot to kind of end today's episode. If one of your resolutions is to support us, one way you can do that is to like and subscribe to the show. You can go to patreon.com/ crushing debt. You can support us there if that's one of your resolutions.
Nice.
Um, Other than that, we've got the cancer walk coming up
Yes.
at the end of April, so
April.
we're going to be talking about that in the coming months. Other than that, I forget anything, George?
No, I think we just have a slogan to provide, and a thank you to everyone who's listened to us in 2025, and to continue to listen to us in 2026, and just show ideas. It's a new year. Let's shake things up, Sean. It might be right time to shake things up and see what we could do differently.
Yeah,
In 2026. So why not? I like the idea. Let's put it into the show as well then.
sounds good. So with that, I will say that especially in 2026, I hope that you have more money at the end of the month rather than month at the end of the money. And we will talk to you in next week's episode.